Simone. I'm excited to be here with you today. Today, we are going to be discussing if having a boyfriend has become embarrassing or uncool, specifically for urban monoculture. I really cannot describe this anything other than like upper middle class white women have begun to categorize having a boyfriend or being in a relationship as a social taboo. There was a paper written on this in Vogue, which we'll go over, which, by the way, Teen Vogue just hired all of their Black employees. So that was fun when they were trying to do like woke cleanup. They accidentally...
No, I think it's more... I think they were getting rid of unprofitable Teen Vogue by tucking it into Vogue, and they got rid of the politics team, which was just because, obviously, gay and not white.
Was it also all the trans?
Not gay, trans. Yeah, gay is like conservative LGBT. Trans is progressive LGBT.
Gay is now conservative coded these days. But anyway, so to continue here. So they did an article on this, and we're going to go through both their article and the article that they reference, which I think is almost more interesting than their article itself. And then we're going to go through some reply articles to this and Reddit threads that were discussing this to sort of see how the general feminist community feels about this.
Okay.
But it does appear to be a real shift that's happening online, which is really cool. And
interesting. Because Cartoons Hate Her was kind of like, is this really real? This is actually just journalists making something up. But
no, I think it's, well, when I look at the Reddit discussion of this, I think it's real. And it also makes sense when you think about the wider cultural context that we're in.
Okay. Interesting. Let's dive in.
So if someone so much as says my boy, and they cut it off there, so they can't even say my boyfriend on social media, they're muted. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become quote unquote my boyfriendified suddenly. This is probably because for so long it felt like we were living in what one of my favorite substackers calls boyfriend land, a world where women's online identities center around the lives of their partners, a situation rarely seen reversed. Women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement, and if you were serious enough, financial gain. So,
There was the whole stay-at-home girlfriend trend of women just making their identities about the fact that they had a boyfriend. And
I want to go into the article about that phenomenon, which preceded this phenomenon. Okay. Because she references another blog post here where they are talking about that phenomenon.
Okay.
Now I'm going to note here what you will persist. Actually, I'll get to it when we get to the point of the article here. But I also love like the horrible that this woman is triggered by the fact that other women have partners, right? Like that this is a threatening thing to her to the extent that it appears to be emotionally damaged. Like it appears to cause some form of emotional distress when she sees this. I might ask her to meditate on why that may be. Is it that maybe you want a boyfriend and just aren't putting in the effort or aren't making the, bridging the ideological gap enough to actually find one? So you need to, no. There is no interest in bridging that gap. So let's go to this other article.
Okay.
A few months ago at a literary event, I introduced myself to a writer whose book I love. She then did the oddest thing. She turned around and introduced her boyfriend and began to speak about his accomplishments at length, despite her book being a book talk darling.
Good on her, because as we've discussed, it's pretty unusual for a woman in public to praise her male partner.
Very rare in real world.
Yeah, that's on its own is notable. So wow, okay.
But we're now seeing partially why. Despite being beloved by her community, despite being showered in praise by writers and fans alike, her first instinct was to talk about her partner for 5 minutes straight. Oh, I thought, I see. Now, I'm noting a number of things here. One is, Simone, do I often praise you in public when we're talking to people?
To the extent that I feel uncomfortable, because I'm like, no, we should be talking about you.
This is a normal thing that people do when
you love your partner and you're proud of them. Like Eric Barwin talking about his wife on the red carpet, but then she
shouldn't be proud of her though.
I don't think you make it more silly than it is. I actually feel I feel
get that on the show.
No, we just cut all that part out.
Cut me out.
Cut you out when you're trying to make it silly.
She shouldn't be proud of her. That's a different.
a lot of kids together. That is like the one important point is that they have a big family.
Yeah.
So like good on them. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that you are highlighting here that this woman praised her boyfriend and here she is being criticized online. I mean, it's people, you know, we have normalized, obviously, as we covered in another episode, eye-rolling wife, the sarcastic wife, as sort of this endemic and problematic issue. But it's not just the fact that the belittling your husband / boyfriend trope is so pervasive and sometimes lauded. It's that women, on the other hand, are punished when they praise and are supportive of their boyfriends and husbands.
Yes. And then we're seeing that right here. She is punishing, and the woman above is punishing women for being supportive of their partners, which of course creates toxic relationships, right? And when you're in a relationship with these people. But I love that at first she's like, I can't be a fan of this person anymore. I can't be around this person anymore because they are nice to their boyfriend. All right.
God forbid you're in a functional relationship.
She goes, on TikTok, this interaction is the norm. In December, I stated that over half of the trends that go viral end up being co-opted by people showing off their male partners. I made it a point to point out how few trends are men showing off their girlfriends or wives. 99% of the time, it's women showing off their boyfriends or husbands. I was keeping a 2024 tally, and I eventually just gave up sometime in March. At this point, the app was practically the patriarchy itself. And here I point out, okay, lady, because I've gotten sort of a feel of your personality from this stuff. What percent of the accounts that you follow are male? What, if you're gonna guess, what percent of the accounts that this lady follows are male? I'm gonna guess 3%. If I'm gonna be generous, maybe 10%. So is there maybe a reason you never see guys sharing their girlfriends on these accounts? It's because you're simply not following many male accounts.
Actually, to be fair, I can't think of a single account where guys are extolling their girlfriends.
Really?
Can you?
I mean, I try to do it. I think that
well, no, you do it. We are unusual. I think that so Fundy Fridays, they are a loving couple that promotes each other. Say what you will about them, Malcolm, but they're very sweet to each other.
No, hold on. So the reason why I don't have a lot of examples of this off the top of my head is because I don't watch any type of social media that would have this anymore.
No, there's the Mormon influencers who podcast together. There's ex-Mormon influencers. There's Fundy Fridays. There's Ballerina Farms. Then there's all the Christian couples.
There's Compass Rose. There's Clownfish TV.
Oh, yeah.
So there are a number, but we don't hang out on platforms where somebody might be doing this because we're not really on Twitter. We're not really
on TikTok,
on Facebook.
Yeah.
We're not on TikTok. And on YouTube, it's just not a platform that is, germane for doing this sort of promotion. Fair. But I would guess the reason is because she just doesn't follow a lot of men. And so that's why to her, it feels like women are always doing this. And I'd also point out here that I bet that this is the type of person who, when she does follow a man, is to goon over them. So she specifically is likely following men who are more likely to be single and who are more likely to hide that they're in a relationship if they are in a relationship because their fan base is some sort of parasocial relationship with them for gooning purposes. That's on Piker like. I mean, I figured that's like his core audience is just women looking to goon because he's not like, he doesn't actually have ideas if you watch his show for a while, which means that, and he cares a lot about appearance, having a big fluffy dog in the background, looking buff all the time.
Does he look buff?
Oh yeah, just Google a picture of him. I guess you got a hand.
He wears clothes. Yeah, I would, but my hands are full.
Anyway, in my video, I asked why men, always men, only men, get to behave atrociously and have millions of people rush to defend them. Hold on a second. Watch our video on snarky women just to see that women do this constantly in our society.
Yeah, men are thrown under the bus and everyone just watches like, the wheels turn over them. Yeah.
No, and like nobody even cares. Like it's not even a scandal. Like women like actually physically abuse their husbands and boyfriends in public, famous women, and just like whatever
Emmanuel Macron's wife pushing him in the face as they exited an airplane.
And nobody cares. nobody does anything. It's not a big scandal. And it is because this woman lives in delusion world. But I think that this helps get us in the mindset of this is the way that urban monoculture women feel, so we can understand how and why they begin to punish women for this behavior. In a video that went viral recently, a woman begs her father not to flip her over on her wedding day. He does, of course, and she smiles lovingly in a chagrined manner. Thank you, Gillian Flynn. These comments were surprising. Women were giddy about the crossing of the boundary. All laughs and heart eye emojis. The way he tippy-tapped, always so tickled with himself, was one of the comments that she was quoting there. The most insidious, and again, keep in mind I'm jumping around this article because I don't want you guys to get all the boring stuff here. The most insidious type of post is the one where there's no boyfriend, but instead the poster is showing off their hot brother or dad. This is odd on two levels. Firstly, the awareness of the family members being attractive. Second, first of all, like, you're aware when your family members are attractive, right? Like, what? Weird. Secondly, the recording and posting of the video in order to receive likes and comments about how hot your family member is. The worst part is it's not even implicit. Many of these posts have the original posters liking comments extolling in their proximity to an attractive man. The TikTok brain rot is so powerful that if you have a boyfriend, simply standing near that man is enough. I find it hard to overstate how much people love men on the app. And it's like, well, one, maybe because they're women and they think the hot men are hot, right? This reminds me up on like Reddit where they post, you know, a hot woman will post themselves doing something and they'll just hit the top. Of course, she has no problem with this, right? You know, they're in frame even though there's no reason. Look at the art I just made, you know? But what I find fun here is this idea that there's this counter world, and it's a world that obviously I've never engaged with because I don't find TikTok at all enjoyable. I don't really find Twitter enjoyable either. I don't find Facebook fun anymore. And so there's this other world, and I assume, because when I was on Facebook, I never saw any posts like this. So I assume that this must be the type of people that this woman already follows who are doing this. And I think that what we were likely seeing here is within the urban monoculture sort of an understanding, because I assume that these people who she's following are urban monoculture people. For a while, it was very high status to get a boyfriend because so few people had one, right?
Yeah.
But then, and so everyone was sort of showing them off for a period till it finally reached a level where women sort of collectively, the ones who were getting shown off to, decided, okay, we need to shame this behavior.
Yeah, the take that I'm getting from some people on this subject, like from Cartoons Hate Her, is that this comes from a place of deep insecurity. I know, because before, you know, ever meeting you and before ever deciding I was going to date or anything, you know, I was very boyfriendless, and I had absolutely zero issue with people being excited about their boyfriends. I just didn't care. And if I didn't care about the content, like, I would just move on to something else, keep scrolling, you know, like, this is not hard to avoid. Yeah.
Okay, so to continue here, and this is still the piece from the before time when this was common. I say all of this to hold up a mirror to society. I understand that there are more women on social media than men, and that for a certain segment of society, having a boyfriend or a husband is quite literally the most important thing you can do. But the millions of posts make me question what exactly is happening. TikTok content is mimetic. When something performs well, people jump on the bandwagon and trends are born. Now, keep in mind, this is performing well within your feed, which is based on what you are interacting with. My bet is you're likely leaving lots of hate comments on these, and TikTok is saying, ooh, engagement.
Exactly. No, that's the thing is if you interact with something, even if it's out of anger, you're telling the algorithm to give you more of it. So she's probably seeing way more of this than anyone who just doesn't care would see. And yeah, that's right. I guess you wouldn't get memes like this if you didn't get algorithmic reinforcement, which we have so much more of now.
But then she goes, and I love this as well. You want to see how urban monoculture she is. She goes, but as someone with 2 degrees in sociology, I shudder a bit when I see the types of content that breaks through. It's another to watch every trend boil down to, look at this man, look at me standing near this man, look at my man, my man, my man, my man. I love it.
Lady.
As a woman with 2 degrees in sociology,
Oh,
I'm
boy.
like, anyone who has ever said that statement, get them as far away from me as possible.
Well, she's told us that all we need to know, that now we know what we need to know now.
She's the judge of society. And this was one of this other person's favorite blogs, this Vogue writer's favorite blogs, okay? So now you get the mindset of this Vogue writer as well, right? All right? So let's go back to the Vogue piece. However, more recently, there's been a pronounced shift in the way that people showcase relationships online. Far from fully hard launching romantic partners, straight women are opting for subtler signs, a hand on a steering wheel, clinking glasses at dinner, or the back of someone's head. On the more confusing end, you have faces blurred out of wedding pictures, or entirely professionally edited videos with the fiancé conveniently cropped out of all the shots. Women are obscuring their partner's face, when in the past, as if they wanted to erase the fact that they existed without actually not posting them.
Is this like the new, or is this some version of the I don't know how there's this big thing, people being very political about not posting their kids' faces, like either covering them with emojis or only showing the backs of their heads in photos online.
I find that so cringe.
I know it's very annoying to us.
Kids do it online. Blah, 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 blah,
but is just is hiding your boyfriend or husband or fiance like now that equivalent? What's going on?
You know,
is it also political? Because I feel like people say they're covering up their kids' faces and stuff to protect their privacy. I think that's false,
I think it's partially political. I think
it's more political than it is actually like logistical and technical. But
I think people are afraid of the way that other people will perceive them if they post anything with their boyfriend.
100, yeah. But I think it's the same about kids. I think that the reason why people cover up their kids' faces is because they're also afraid of that criticism. So I think that this is the new version of that. That's really
blurring your husband's face out of wedding photos or editing your husband out of the wedding videos. This becomes something quite different.
But we're recording right now. Okay.
I think it's a way of signaling their politics to people in a pretty extreme way.
Great.
And I think that it is because they saw, and I suspect for a long time, if I look at the tone of that first piece, knowing that it's a popular writer, that maybe women within progressive communities and within urban monoculture communities that accidentally shared pictures of their boyfriend or husband would get a lot of negative posts. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you showing a man? Why are you? And if they've seen this happen, even just 1 or 2 times, you could pretty quickly, jump on the bandwagon, because yet another thing you can tear down other women about. 2, a great way of mate competition, ensure that no other woman is dating to make it easier for yourself to date, right? Literally just shame women for being in a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people also point out again and again that so many of these things are gatekeeping tactics that women use, whether it's encouraging other women to not care about their appearance or weight, or discouraging other women from being interested in men, that enables women to experience less competition on dating markets, theoretically. So that could also definitely be. So yeah, this is about political fronting, and this is about mate blocking, essentially, right?
So what gives? Are people embarrassed by their boyfriends now? Or is something more complicated going on? To me, it feels like the result of women wanting to straddle 2 worlds. One where they can receive the social benefits of having a partner, but also not appear so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loserish. They want the prize and celebration of partnership, but understand the norminess of it, says Zoe Smoothie, writer and activist. Oh my God. In other words, in an era of widespread heterofatalism, women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered. First of all, I love the words that they're using here, being partnered, right? Like that's the fancy term for they were able to secure a male. And if you're not familiar with the concept of heterofatalism, it's an interesting concept within urban monocultural female communities where they're sort of fatalistic and sad about the fact that they happen to be born hetero, right? Like they see this as like a punishment or a bad thing. Actually, I would be interested to see, and I could totally see this happening, is a community begin to form that's dedicated to arguing that actually hetero women are more discriminated than gay or bi women because they have to date men.
Oh, I see.
So actually, it's the gay and the bi women who are privileged and the hetero women who are disadvantaged.
Right, because they are forced through their sexuality to interact with an inherently problematic class of man or human.
Exactly.
Yes, right. Oh wow, I could see it be done.
I want to see that. I want to see that happen.
Give it time.
If we have progressive watchers, you make that a thing.
Yeah.
Toss that ball.
Yeah. What's better than being a political lesbian? Being an oppressed straight woman.
Yes, who's forced by her biology to want to engage with men.
Amazing. Wow.
But it's not all about image. When I did a call out on Instagram, plenty of women told me that they were, in fact, superstitious. Some feared the quote unquote evil eye, a belief that their happy relationships would spark jealousy so strong in other people that it could end their relationship. Others were concerned about their relationships ending and then being stuck with the posts. I was in a relationship for 12 years and never once posted him or talked about him online. We broke up recently, and I don't think I will ever post a man, says Nikki, 38. So she dated him from 28 to 38, basically her entire period where she could have gotten married, and then broke up.
And had kids.
Yeah.
Wow. Yikes.
And that's really kind of weird and sociopathic, to be honest. And I also love that these women are afraid of other women seeing them in a happy relationship, because that's become coded, and other people will note this later, as Republican.
Right. Yeah. People really feeling like Taylor Swift, for example, was a traitor to their kind because she chose to get engaged to the football star. Even though in her earliest songs, it was all about dating the football star. And this whole like she isn't turned on anyone. This is well attested, but whatever.
Yeah. And I think it's so sad that Taylor Swift came out like right as it became uncool to date. It became, obviously this means the urban monoculture is like extra cooked from where it would otherwise be if women now think that having a boyfriend lowers their status in female communities, which is the core thing that women care about. It's why they put on makeup. It's why they dress the way they do. It's,
Well, so here's actually where I'm kind of seeing a confluence of things. Because just this morning I was listening to Asmongold go over a bunch of screenshots, specifically from UK men of women in the UK basically asking for money and implying that in exchange that there would be sexual access. Like they'd hook up if a guy paid for their nails to get done or paid for their hair or gave money for, like, a lot of these were young single mothers too, or like literally pregnant, but they were also implying like, well, give me money and we'll hook up. So just literally sex work basically, but with some additional theater to make it seem less like what it actually was. And I'm looking at all this because what we first saw was the initial wave of trending tradwifism. From there, we went to the stay-at-home girlfriends, which is a significant step down, right? It's being a tradwife, but without any of the legal or religious protections of being married. So you're even less secure. And then we just sort of went from that to not even being comfortable to posting about having boyfriends at all. One could even argue that this is in service of being able to pursue more of an OnlyFans kind of lifestyle, or a modified version of it, as described by Asmongold recently, with these women basically like saying, hey, like Venmo me money. There wouldn't be so many anecdotal examples of this, of women asking for money, if it didn't occasionally work. So this seems to be, at least in some sub communities, a pervasive behavior.
Yeah.
Meaning that basically women have gone from depending on husbands for money to depending on boyfriends for money to now depending on sort of this network of men for money, more like an actual sex worker. And I do wonder if part of this blurring out boyfriends' faces is more of that, well, I have to maintain optionality because now I have so little commitment to and commitment from men in my life. And yet I still want a life in which I utilize men for money, that I need to have an identity that's completely unmoored from them. It seems to me like sort of the completely debauched end state of the atomization of society when women cannot depend completely on the state for their support, where they still want to depend also on men or on some kind of pay pig.
Imagine if a man did this, by the way. Like, he went on dates with a woman and then he was like, here's my haircut bills. Here's my, it's
bad. It's really bad. I think one of the examples that Asmongold read off, I mean, I only listen, unfortunately, to like YouTube videos and stuff while also working, so I half listened to it. But a woman like texted a man being like, "Oh, I had a salad for lunch," and he's like, "Oh, what kind of salad? Like, that's nice." And she was like, "Well, you could have even just offered to pay for it. Like, why didn't you even offer to pay for it? Like, what? Just really crazy stuff."
Yeah,
very strange. So it's to me very strange behavior, but also it's very, if a man did that, if a man did something like that, people would.
I almost want to be a man on the dating market just to like do this to women to freak them out. Like, you could have offered to pay for it.
Well, I mean, what's so interesting to me is, I mean, in the past and even now, like there are absolutely men who are kept men. It's not unheard of. Even in media, for example, in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Holly Golightly has a love interest. The love interest is a kept man. He calls himself an author, but he's living in an apartment and paid for by a woman who's married, who keeps him on the side. These things, they happen. They're just a lot less usual for men. So
anyway, to continue here.
Yeah.
But there was an overwhelming sense from single and partnered women alike that regardless of the relationship, being with a man was almost a guilty thing to do. On the Delusion Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, Hallie and Jazz. Oh my God, what names there? Hallie and Jazz, New York-based influencers.
There you go.
They discuss whether having a boyfriend is quote unquote lame now. Quote, why does having a boyfriend feel Republican, end quote. Quote, boyfriends are out of style. They won't come back until they start to act right, end quote, read another with thousands of likes. In essence, quote, having a boyfriend typically takes hits on a woman's aura, end quote, as one commenter claimed. Funnily enough, both of these hosts have partners, which is something I often see online. Even partnered women will lament men and heterosexuality, partly in solidarity with other women, but also because it is now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. It is not just in these women's imaginations. Audiences are icked out by seeing too much boyfriend content, myself included. It seems as indicated by my liberal use of the mute button when author and British Vogue contributor Stephanie Yeba launched her boyfriend on social media, she lost hundreds of followers.
Whoa.
So, even if we are still together, I wouldn't post them here. There's something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partner these days, end quote, she tells me, adding that, quote, there is a part of me that would feel guilty for sharing my partner constantly, especially when we know the dating landscape is really bad at the moment. I wouldn't want to be boastful, end quote. I love they're acting like overly wealthy women, not wanting to like signal too much in like a drought, right? And of course, what they mean by this, and all of these women are obviously very, progressive, is that there is one progressive male for every two progressive females. So if they're out there dating a requirement, which a lot of these women have.
That's true. Progressive women. So do you think actually part of this is just, I need to be very protective of my boyfriend because women will chase after him?
That could be a part of it. A fear of.
Because he's so rare. Yeah, to have a progressive boyfriend. And also if you're progressive, you're way more likely to have to be, you're accepted to maybe be more open to being poly or having an open relationship.
Oh yeah, true.
Let's say if I'm a progressive woman and I manage to actually secure my progressive boyfriend and I really like him, if I post him online, maybe women will be like, oh, like we should date. And then if he gets a lot of inbound inquiries, he's more likely to pressure me into opening a relationship because obviously I'm open-minded and progressive, right? Oh, yeah. Maybe. Who knows?
Sophie Miller, a content creator, also experienced people unfollowing her when she shared a romantic relationship. Quote, this summer, a boy took me to Sicily. I posted about it on my subscribers section, and people replied saying things like, Please don't get a boyfriend! Exclamation mark. She admits that her content perhaps becomes less exciting when she is in a relationship. Quote, being single gives you this ultimate freedom to say and do what you want. It's absolutely not every woman, but I do notice that we can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship, myself included, end quote. And I thought that that's really interesting as well, as sort of how they're contextualizing this. They're contextualizing it in a few ways. They're saying, one, they expect to get unfollowed if they post pictures of their boyfriend accidentally. So this is like a community behavior that's evolved.
Well, they've actively seen people get unfollowed when they do post
Yes.
content.
And they have a fear that, what was I going to say? That they will look less free if they have a boyfriend. They'll look less wild, which, I mean, of course you are. If you have a boyfriend and you get married, many of the things that we associate with a free and wild lifestyle just become pointless. Like not just going to nightclubs or going to bars. Like, why would you do that if you have a partner, right?
Yeah.
But that's what being wild is in these people's minds. But more than that, you've got, going on a trip to Greece, right? Going on a boat, going on if you have a partner, you're significantly less likely to do these types of expensive and pointless recreational activities that are often associated with clout within an online sphere.
I think some of this is warranted. People like to follow influencers in many cases who are very different from them, but also in many cases who share their lifestyle. And many people, for example, more commonly bemoan losing their friends to parenthood. Like now suddenly they only want to talk about their kids. Their schedule's totally changed. They're never available anymore, right? Like depending on your relationship status and family status, you can become quite uninteresting to both friends and followers. I don't want to discount that here. I do think that if you're following this single life lifestyle and you want to follow people who extol that, it's going to suck when they get boyfriends.
Yeah. So to tie this up here, from my conversations, one thing is certain: the script is shifting. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It is no longer considered an achievement. And if anything, it's becoming more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. As a straight woman, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with: a politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposely.
Yeah. Close the door, buddy.
It's becoming more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. As a straight woman, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with: the politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long been purposely indefinable, so it is harder for those within it, outside of it, to critique. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. Of course you knew that's where she was going with this. Okay. Which actually makes sense, given how few guys fall into this sort of urban monocultural, ultra progressive worldview. As they face a drought of those guys, they're now beginning to be like, well, then it's a good thing to be single. It's a good thing to not be with a guy. In fact, that is the harder road to travel. That is the more honorable road to travel. I'm not failing. I'm not bad. I'm actually doing it right. And it is these women with partners that are doing it the wrong way. There was a Reddit thread on Ask Feminists that was discussing this. And one of the things that a lot of people mentioned to begin with, which I think is likely absolutely true, is they're like, well, you do realize that a lot of these people have parasocial followers that are men and are gooning over them and are going to unfollow the moment it looks like they have a boyfriend.
Yeah, sort of the Korean pop star dynamic where they're not allowed to have boyfriends because they would lose followers. They would lose their fans.
Yeah. Well, even early in our relationship, I don't think we posted about it much because you had sort of an online thing. Octavian, are you my boyfriend? You were tiptoeing, but I heard you, and I think the fans heard you. See, he's a boy, and he's my friend. Are you my friend, buddy?
Yeah.
All right. So they were pointing out that a lot of these women might have like parasocial followers, and their boyfriends might as well, right?
Oh.
Another thing that people noted is that not sharing content that shows you have a boyfriend is a very good way to cheat on a partner, because then the partner themselves, and a lot of, I guess, progressive guys in sort of like open relationships and stuff like that, probably don't want it to be known that they're dating people, because they pretend on early dates that they don't already have a primary.
That's another really good point. Yeah, we don't know the extent to which boyfriends are actively asking to be excluded from girls' social media posts.
Yeah, and
So
now
that's a really
girls
good
are trying to normalize it. You know, if I was like a man slut out there on the market right now, I'd be like sharing this with girls and be like, well, don't you know it's not cool to post pictures?
And then
That's
the
why I
girls are
don't
trying to
issue
just frame it as their decision. Like, I'm just trying to be independent, but really their
Yeah,
boyfriends
I'm just
are
trying to
like,
help you stay independent.
oh my gosh. Yeah, but you could see like a boyfriend who's progressively coded, really successfully both sleeping around and having a lot of side girls, or like literally, like actually, I don't know if you remember when Andrew Huberman got in trouble for having a lot of girlfriends all at the same time, and they didn't know for a long time. He just had different girls in all these different places.
Yeah.
Oh, dear man.
Why are you laughing?
Yes.
Can you go out of the room, please? Is this a teddy bear?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so the New York Post had a response to this, which is typically pretty conservative.
Yeah.
Where they go, to me personally, all this article indicates is that there is a shift in romantic relationships being the ultimate status symbol. Platonic connections, family, career, and hobbies, and hitting financial milestones are now in the mix. Therefore, being single does not make you incomplete. The article has sparked much debate online, with brilliant, hilarious single women celebrating being unbound from this idea that their lives are sad because they don't have a man. Shameless Media's Ruby Hall posted on TikTok, dancing to Taylor Swift's The Fate of Ophelia, with the caption, apparently it's chic to be single now. Fellow TikTok user Lydia posted a clip of herself waving and blowing kisses to George Michael's father figure. Thank you, British Vogue, for making all the girlies that have been single their entire lives feel very powerful right now. A well-deserved win for us, Lydia said. Meanwhile, Lulu Davidson, a PR, posted a similar clip to the Mamma Mia movie version of The Winner Takes All. How it feels to be single after British Vogue declared that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. I'm always ahead of the trends, she said. Abby Bayoff, who has 1.3 million followers, shared a video of herself also celebrating the news while dressed up in the nines. British Vogue comes out declaring that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. What a time to be alive and single, ladies. And so I love this, first of all, by the way, all of these women who are just so excited to share this news and try to normify this cultural trend, right? Then we have somebody saying, I think the article is less about women rejecting men and more about women rejecting dependency. For decades, being someone's girlfriend was treated like a personality, she told News AU. Now we're swinging the other way, building entire online identities rather than real identities, I know you, that say, I choose me. That's progress, but I can also tip into performance. She also said it's residue from what influencer Tinks called boyfriend sickness, when her friend gets into a relationship and disappears. Now it's also shifted to the online world. Miss Boz said there was definitely a shift to celebrating being single, but there was a big shift between I'm single because I'm growing and I'm single because men suck, with only the first being an empowering move. The real flex isn't being single or taken, it's being secure either way. And there are just tons of quotes here I could go through of women like agreeing with this, but I want to get your wider take on this trend, Sibyl.
I think this is, like I said earlier, a product of sort of the end product of atomization of women's support, both from the state and from men in this case, where we've gone from, if you want support from men, it's gone from support from husband to support from boyfriend to now support from broad network of male supporters, either like literally through OnlyFans or just through some broad network of hangers on who you text and occasionally ask for money on Venmo and like hook up in exchange for vague bits of support, which ultimately it's not enough. It's not going to support their lifestyle. So they're ultimately doing worse than if they just got married and got support from men through that pathway. I also do think that this could have to do with the fact that the dating pool for progressive women is indeed so small that either they just have to normalize the fact that they're not going to date men at all. And so a lot of this is sort of social pressure of just like, hey, look at the way that people are approaching capitalism now and this concept of like home ownership and being financially independent. People now, especially younger generations, understanding that they're never going to have access to it, are now highly critical of the concept of capitalism and possibly even the concept of fiat currency. And we're seeing maybe something similar with, okay, well, if having a progressive boyfriend or husband is also so unachievable, we need to start questioning whether or not we want it at all. What is the point? We should also condemn it. This is the relationship version of Eat the Rich, or billionaires should be taxed more, where we have to shame anyone who has this very limited resource that ultimately is aspirational, but we now have to pretend that it's not, because it's not accessible to everyone. And we have this very inbuilt idea of fairness, which seems to be even stronger in women, of this feeling of injustice if things aren't quote unquote fair. So I think that that's also a factor.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think I mean, I'd be interested to see if this trend spirals more.
Yeah.
Like,
well, how can it get worse? How can it get worse than women literally disavowing any sort of romantic male commitment, and also at the same time that you didn't cover it as much, demanding essentially micropayments from men in exchange for small sexual favors?
How could it get worse? It could become seen as like more of an active bad thing for progressives to date men at all. Think of like polyamory. Except
how is that bad? It just eliminates that from society then,
Well, I mean, over the long term, but I mean, I could totally see this happening as we move from polyamory being normalized in these communities, from having nothing but casual sex. And if you're doing anything other than just casual sex, that's seen as like a betrayal of the progressive cause.
Well, I mean, that's very Brave New World. That in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, there's a lot of catchphrases that are literally programmed into all of the people in society. One of those catchphrases is everybody belongs to everyone else. And it's actually considered quite socially questionable if you start having sex with only one person consistently. At that point, your friends start to sort of pressure you to like, yeah, you should probably start sleeping around like with someone else. You should not be so exclusive. And perhaps we're just getting to that point.
All right. So it's already Brave New World. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, Simone.
I love you.
Did you want to record another one or just one today?
I'm up for recording the Johannesburg one that I outlined.
Okay, great.
Just take a break to get Octavian set up with his laptop.
I'll get his thing set up.
And would you mind closing the door to the master bedroom I'm in? Because he opened it and didn't close.
Hey, Octavian, come here. What do you want to say to the subscribers? What do you want to do? Are you going to get a mommy one day? Are you like going to get married?
Yeah.
And why do you want that?
Because I want a ring.
Because you want a ring?
Has, like, I'm always dad and married. Mom, right
like
there.
This?
Yeah, right there. You see what I'm pointing to?
Oh, like she has a ring and you want a ring like that?
Yeah. So
or do you want a ring more like Dad's ring?
Yeah, like a lot more like Dad's. A lot more.
Okay. So you want to get married so you can get a ring. You might be surprised that a lot of women actually feel that way, Octavia.
Yeah.
That's why they want to get married. And what are you going to do with your wife?
I'm going to do with my wife. If I'm the president, I would let her go with the helicopter with me. And guess what? If you like and subscribe and I see that, if I'm the president, then I'll go to your house and fly you to my president house.
So he thinks we voted today, and so he thinks he's going to become the president. And we talked to him about how the president gets like Air Force One. And so what he's saying is that if you like this video, he'll go back after he becomes president and send a helicopter to your house and fly you to the White House. Is this for real? Are you lying?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Tonight.
Tonight.
3 p.m.
So,
tonight. If you call me about that.
So
I'm falling apart.
Wait, so if they like the video at 3 a.m. in the night, You're going to send a helicopter to their house.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna be woken up by a helicopter landing.
for real.
But what if it's dark?
There's going to be a camera and night vision.
Oh, so the helicopter people are gonna have night vision.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's basically going to send a SWAT team to people's house, drag them out of their homes.
This is what happens if you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
Yeah,
you'll also
you
need to
have
vote
it
Octavian
on
in,
my
but I'm
phone
sure
for
that's
real.
trivial.
Oh, so they gotta
Yeah.
call you. But do you have
Yeah,
a
they
phone
have to
number?
do a
What's your
video.
phone number?
You can just call the phone number of the White House.
So call the phone.
Duh.
number.
And they would just.
Yeah, so they'll handle it. The White House knows he's gonna be elected, so they'll just handle all of this for you, right? So you just call the White House and say, "I liked and subscribed." So send a helicopter to pick me up at 3 a.m. at
Yeah,
night.
and if you keep liking and subscribing to the videos, if I see if you do it in early in the night, when you have to go home, then you could just stay with me if I keep seeing you do it. If you don't see it, if I don't see it one single day, then you're gonna kicked out forever. For real. I'm talking for real.
You know how to YouTube, buddy. That is some making.
real.
Yeah, well, they have to kick out. They have to get kicked out for only one day. That's not that much.
Oh, okay,
Only
okay.
one night. So after the day and the night comes, then they can come back as long as they give me the address. Yeah, if you don't give me the address, if you show me it, then I will not know where you live, and you don't get to come with me if you tell me the address. So make sure. Okay? Make sure.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Do it.
Ow.
Just do it.
Okay, buddy, get up. We're gonna go find that computer.
Okay, great. Bye. Bye.
Love you, Simone.
I love you too.
No, bye.
Especially now. No. Mr. Bunny Rabbit.
All right, you ready to go?
I am, sir.
How are you feeling this morning?
Good. We voted. We got insane amounts of holy basil. I would say pretty good.
We're learning how to store it in mass by freezing it, which I didn't know you could do. And so now it's just like, oh, we're gonna blend it, make a sauce. And I would freeze it with an amount of water and an amount of oil, maybe.
The water is not advised, just oil. Just cover it with oil once it's minced.
Just cover it in what type of oil are we gonna use? Olive oil, I guess.
Yeah.
And then freeze it. And then we'll have holy basil all the time because it's so hard to get Thai basil or holy basil fresh. So we have to drive to the Asian market to get it. And with the other thing, I was telling Simone that our fab we're in the final stage of development now for the chatbot feature. So if anybody wants to do testing and like dedicate it a certain amount of time a day to testing, let me know and I can get you free tokens. And that's the way that we're going to handle that. So we'll just adjust your token amount, sort of like paying you, and you could play with chatbot and look for bugs.
A good chatbot, and it's paid for, which is, if you're into that, then you'll get why that's valuable.
I used to spend so much money on chatbots before this. I literally would spend like $100 every 3 weeks, I want to say.
Yeah. So basically, if you're a power user type, you will see the value in what we are offering because it is better than the even top drawer chatbot platforms, but we will cover the cost if you give us some feedback.
You look like mommy? Does it hurt to walk like that? Do you like looking like mommy? So you want to be just like mommy one day? A bouncy castle? Whoa! You did. Mommy falls down all the time, right? She's kind of clumsy. I love that you associate that with her.